We need to talk about influence operations and what Congressman Goldman defended in his questioning of journalists, which every American should find disturbing. For those that don't know me, I'm a former intelligence officer for the United States Marine Corps and the NSA. I was also an information operations planner. Influence operations is information operations in warfare, or psychological operations, or PSYOPs. And by definition, it is the coordinated, integrated, and synchronized application of national, diplomatic, informational, military, economic, and other capabilities to foster attitudes, behaviors, or decisions from a targeted population, such as your decision on who to vote for. This was meant initially and specifically for foreign populations. But when the US government was caught flat-footed by Russia and their failed attempt to use social media to sow chaos into the 2016 election, the US government turned their focus on the American people in a vain attempt to protect American citizens' First Amendment rights by violating their First Amendment rights through a whole-of-government approach, primarily led by the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I know everyone will scream Operation Mockingbird and say that they've been doing this for decades, but trust me when I say they were caught off guard and ill-prepared to confront foreign interference attempts. And so the administrative state conducted a multi-year full-court press. This was evidenced by the Russian collusion hoax, the Steele dossier, COVID and the potential lab leak, Dr. Fauci's consistent misinformation, the dismissal of the Great Barrington Declaration, Hunter Biden's laptop, and the 51 Intel professionals that claimed to have all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation, despite the fact that nobody can actually highlight a single hallmark within the contents of that laptop. These and many other smaller examples are also encapsulated in this Time magazine article ironically titled The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign That Saved the 2020 Election, otherwise known as a conspiracy. This was further revealed by the release of the Twitter files, which leads us back to this interaction with Congressman Goldman in the committee to investigate the weaponization of the federal government.
So let me just move on because you said the biggest concern, sir, I'm sorry, you said the biggest concern that you had from the Twitter files was the systematic flags for social media companies. Now, the Stanford EIP that you're talking about, I'm sure you are aware, has documented that the social media platforms to whom they flagged potentially problematic tweets took action on only 35% of them, and only 13% of them were removed.
That communication link right there, that connection where the federal government can highlight issues that social media should look at and remove if they don't like it, that process that Mr. Goldman is so ardently defending should not exist in the first place. That there is the violation of the First Amendment. The fact that him and people like him are refusing to recognize this fact is chilling. He is an attorney, a congressman, and he is defending a clear-cut violation of the First Amendment. Check out Congressman Jordan's response.
Schellenberger, is 13% censorship still censorship?
Absolutely.
And the other 87% is what we call the chilling effect that the courts have long recognized that they engaged in.
He swears an oath to the Constitution, then turns around and defends the violation of it. Worse yet, he doesn't even understand this basic principle. Just watch the end.
Congress shall take no action to abridge freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And that's what you just described.
Mr. Schellenberger, is 13% censorship still censorship?
Absolutely.
And the other 87% is what we call the chilling effect that the courts have long recognized that they engaged in. That is the problem.
There's a by the way, part of the operation, Congressman
Holy
Goldman,
cow.
part of the operation was to change the terms of service. So you see them constantly trying to change the terms of service. You see them, it was 35% of the URLs that were, this according to EIP, were labeled, removed, or soft blocked. That's all forms of censorship. That censorship is not just removal.
But 65% were not. So how can the government be so coercive?
So does the First Amendment say that the government
for the course on government
does the
efficiency?
First Amendment say the government can censor
Time of the
35%?
gentleman has
They're not
expired.
censoring. They're flagging in the social
Chair
media companies.
recognizes-
Under coercion.
35% of a First
Chair-
Amendment? Or
Chair
It's not the
recognizes-
First Amendment. It's the terms of service, as you said, and they are flagging it for the social media companies to make their own decisions. That is not the First Amendment. That is the terms of service.
We have just seen them.
Congressman, you're an attorney. You know that 4 federal judges have already ruled that.
And I know that it's on appeal in front of the Supreme Court right now.
That debate was very constructive.
Whew, that was
I
fun.
think that got to the heart of the issue. That's the problem right there.
That's-
The
that-
gentlelady
that's
from
right.
Wyoming is recognized for 5.
Those are liberal journalists bringing to light fascist actions of an administrative state that this guy is defending. Let that sink in.